They'll never admit this out loud, but the strongest men you've ever heard of were forged alone. Not in boardrooms, not in gyms, not even in their childhood homes, but in the deep silence where no one clapped, no one praised, and no one showed up to help. That's where men are born. That's where you will either crack or evolve. Society sells you comfort. They tell you to talk about your feelings, to always seek help, to never walk alone. But they won't tell you that every great man in history had to go through a season of silence, a stretch of time where no one understood him, where his dreams sounded delusional, and where the only thing louder than his ambition was the sound of isolation. Do you think Genghis Khan conquered half the known world because he had good friends cheering him on? Do you think Marcus Aurelius, in the chaos of empire, had someone whispering motivational speeches in his ear every morning? Number. They suffered in silence. They made peace with solitude. And from it, they became forces no man could ignore. You want to be respected, right? Not just liked. Respected. Revered. You want to be the man other men shut up when you walk into the room. You want weight, gravity, presence. You want to become the kind of man who doesn't need to shout to command attention, because his silence speaks volumes. Then get ready to suffer. Because the path of the lone wolf is brutal. You will question yourself. You'll feel like giving up. You'll look around and think, why does no one see me? Why does no one help me? And the truth is, that's the exact place you need to be. Because when there's no one else to rely on, you start to rely on yourself. The man who builds himself in silence becomes a warrior of unshakable discipline. Discipline is the difference between boys and men. Boys wait for motivation. Men don't give a damn how they feel. They show up every single day, rain or shine. No applause, no likes, just raw grit. And that grit, over time, turns into something unbreakable. You think a lion feels sorry for itself because it's alone on the hunt? No. It thrives in the solitude. The silence sharpens it. And you, if you're serious, must learn to do the same. Cut off the noise. Stop listening to everyone's opinions. Stop waiting for someone to tell you you're good enough. That day will never come, and it shouldn't. You need to become good enough. And the only way to do that is by facing everything alone and still choosing to rise. There will be nights when you're exhausted. You'll look at your progress and think, this isn't worth it. That's the test right there. That's the moment 99% of men walk away. They return to comfort. They return to their friends, their distractions, their soft habits. But the 1%, they stay. They stay alone. And in the morning, they rise a little stronger, a little more dangerous, a little less needy, until one day the world has to notice, because power cannot stay hidden forever. And make no mistake, if you stay the course, you will become powerful. You will become undeniable. You're not broken for being alone. You're not lost for feeling unseen. You're just being refined. Every minute of isolation, every second of being misunderstood is pressure being applied to the coal that is your current self. And that pressure, that's how diamonds are made. The lone wolf doesn't need the pack. Not because he hates them, but because he knows when winter comes and the forest falls silent, he'll be the only one strong enough to survive. So if you feel like no one sees you, if you feel like you're walking a path no one else understands, good. You're right where you need to be. Let them doubt you. Let them leave. Let them laugh. Because one day, they'll remember you as the man who rose when no one believed you would. That's the strength of the lone wolf. And it's yours, if you choose it. Eli deletes distractions. He hits the gym alone. He studies alone. He reads alone. He works on his goals alone. And month by month, the pain doesn't disappear, but it transforms. The same silence that used to scare him becomes his fuel. The same solitude that felt like a curse becomes his edge. 2 years later, Eli walks into a room and men respect him without a word. Women notice without a smile. Why? Because solitude sculpted him. That's the silent gift of walking alone. You become the kind of man who doesn't need validation to know he's worth something. The truth is, most people won't understand your grind. They won't understand why you wake up early when you don't have to. Why you train like a soldier with no war. Why you read books instead of partying. Why you spend hours in silence. And you know what? That's perfect. Because if they understood, they'd be doing it. And if they're not doing it, then their opinion doesn't matter. Here's the part where you probably expect me to say, but don't worry, eventually people will come around. Forget that. Maybe they won't. Maybe you'll walk this road alone for a long time, maybe forever, but that's okay. Because your mission isn't to be liked, it's to become unshakable. You want to know why men who walk alone become the strongest? Because they stop chasing things that don't matter. Because they build discipline without an audience. Because they learn how to control their emotions without venting on social media. Because they develop a presence so strong, people feel it without words. Aloneness trains your mind to be your ally instead of your enemy. It teaches you to self-regulate, to analyze your flaws with no filter, to embrace discomfort until it becomes normal. It teaches you to stand, even when there's no one clapping. And when the time comes that you finally step into the spotlight, whether that's success, leadership, love, or legacy, you'll walk in not like a boy who needs attention, but like a man who carries the weight of self-mastery. You want to win in life? Start by walking alone. Not forever, but long enough to become the kind of man others can't ignore. Not because you begged them to notice, not because you asked for respect, but because you earned it in the dark, where no one saw you, where you forged yourself, where boys break, but men are made. Welcome to your season of becoming. Welcome to the silence. Now, make it count. You're not supposed to walk alone, right? That's what they tell you, that you need a tribe, a support system, a brotherhood. They tell you no man survives in isolation. But here's the part they never admit. Every truly powerful man you've ever heard of had a season where he walked alone. And not just alone physically, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually. He stood in the dead silence of his life where no one called, no one checked in, no one cared if he made it through the night or not. And it was in that silence that something changed. It's not comfortable to say it, but I'll say it. Weak men stay comfortable. Strong men get forged in isolation. Let's be real. Most men today are terrified of being alone. Not just because it's lonely, but because it exposes them. When you're by yourself, the fake confidence fades, the masks drop. All that's left is the real you, and most men are scared of what they see. But you clicked on this video because something in you is different. You feel it. You're tired of the noise, tired of the lies, tired of pretending. And now, you're staring down the barrel of loneliness, asking yourself, am I built for this? Here's your answer. You were made for this because every great man has a wilderness. You want to talk about power? Let's talk about the men who walked alone. Jesus, 40 days in the desert. No one beside him, only the sound of his own breath and the voice of temptation. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most powerful emperors in history, wrote his private meditations in silence, alone in his room, surrounded by people yet deeply isolated. Michael Jordan cut from his high school basketball team, alone in a gym, crying, and then practicing. Alone. Men become dangerous when they learn how to be by themselves. Not addicted to attention, not desperate for approval, not scared of silence. Let me give you a fake story that feels all too real. Picture this. There's a guy named Eli, lives in a small apartment, no social circle, no girlfriend, no father figure, just a job that pays the bills and a head full of regrets. He spends nights staring at the ceiling, wondering what he's even doing with his life. One day, something snaps. Not in a dramatic way, quietly, subtly. He decides, I'm done waiting for someone to come save me. You want to know why most men never make it? Why they live quiet, frustrated lives, drifting from job to job, woman to woman, vice to vice? It's because somewhere along the line, they were told that just existing is enough. That if they show up, if they breathe, if they survive the day, then they're doing just fine. And that's a lie, a dangerous lie. See, there's a war going on, not the one with guns and tanks, but one deep inside the soul of every man, a war between who you are and who you could be. And the truth is, most men lose, not because they're weak, not because they're stupid, but because they settle. They pick comfort over growth. They choose ease over excellence. They make excuses instead of making something out of themselves. Do you know what makes a man powerful? It's not the money, not the women, not the status. It's the ability to delay gratification, to wake up every day and do the hard things, even when no one's watching, especially when no one's watching. The man who wakes up at 5 a.m. to train while the rest sleep. The man who reads when others scroll. The man who works on his craft in silence, stacking small wins brick by brick. That man, he's building something that no one can take from him. But let's talk about you. How many years have you wasted waiting? Waiting for motivation. Waiting for the right moment. Waiting for someone to believe in you? Here's the truth. No one's coming to save you. Not your parents, not your friends, not your girlfriend. If you're not where you want to be, that's on you. And I know, it stings. It should. That sting, that's your potential punching you in the chest, screaming to be let out. That's the version of you that's disciplined, focused, relentless, begging you to wake up. Every man wants to be a beast until it's time to do what beasts do. That's where most break. That's where most walk away. But you? If you're still listening, if you feel that fire in your gut, you might just be different. So what are you going to do? Complain that life is unfair, that success is too hard, that you're tired? Good. Be tired. But don't quit. Push every single day. Because discipline doesn't care how you feel. Discipline doesn't need permission. Discipline is showing up when it's raining, when you're heartbroken, when you're broke, when you're alone. Discipline is what separates the men who get remembered from the ones who get ignored. You want to command respect? Then earn it. Not with words, not with empty flexes, but with consistency, with results, with a presence so grounded, so sharpened, that when you walk into a room, you don't have to say a damn thing. Let others chase clout. Let others waste time. You, building train, improve, stack every hour like it's your last, and watch how the world bends, not because you asked for it, but because you became the man who no longer needed to. This is your warning. This is your call. You're not too old. You're not too late. You're not broken beyond repair. You're simply undisciplined. But that changes today. So get up. Because the world doesn't need more talkers. It needs more men who do.